we can kind of get the tutorial on here. So this thing is going to pick up anything in front of something else. So whenever there's like you're going to see that. Go ahead and point it at them. So you see how she kind of came up, and then there's another little point down here. There must be something over there, and it looks like Kenny over there is what it was picking up, because he was in a darker area, so it only picked up one point of them, but it's going to stretch it to try to make it look like a person. It's always going to do that. So that's what this is actually designed to do. That's how the software works. But anything that's in front of something else, it's going to try to pick it up. So what happens is when something shows up and I'm like, I don't know what that is, I take a screenshot of it and then I brighten it up to make sure it's not a sign in front of a car or a sign in front of the building or a telephone pole in front of a building. So it's always going to pick up all of those points and try to make it look like a person. What I'm looking for truly out of this is when, we got Marcella over there and all of a sudden there's something right next to her in a different shape and there's nothing there.
Oh, right.
Do you see where I'm going? Like, I want an empty space to try to make sure like what we're finding is a legitimate entity of some sort. But again, I debunk a lot of things with this guy. It has been a lot more debunking than finding. Also keep in mind here, it'll pick up shadows. So shadow is an absence of light. So therefore it looks like it's something in front of something else. Yeah. So when you see shadows like your shadow on the ground, it's gonna pick up the dots on the ground of the pinpointed person. So kind of keep that in mind as well. And you'll see that more as we go through some of these other spaces that are a little bit brighter than this.
So if I see something, you want me to take a screenshot?
No.
No.
All I want you to do is to make sure like that guy is spinning.
Spinning. Okay.
Spinning. So,
gotcha.
and then when we leave the space, you'll stop the video. And then we'll start it again when we get to the next one. But yeah, keep it recording the entire time. Until we leave the space.
Right.
You get the point.
I don't know if this is like relevant, but it said bow and arrow, like really clear.
You got anything above 15? Teaching her math. And kind of help them out.
Okay.
Yeah, I prefer to out on the lawn and focus on the family.
Word family shows up here a lot.
If you want to trade me whenever, just let me know.
Did you ask him a question? Elijah, how did you die?
I haven't seen anything yet.
Hmm?
I haven't really seen anything yet. Just the snapping in the trees. And of course, those are people over there.
What's that?
I don't know. I think that was the tree. I think that was getting the tree over there. Well, I'm seeing this. Is it a figure?
You are picking up.
What am I picking up?
You're picking up the signs.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Yep. It's okay. That's
I
why
haven't
you guys
seen
keep me
anything
around.
yet.
Again, camera work is usually found the next day. Like that's
Yeah.
what I find out. To me, my expertise is in the spirit boxes, like what Kenny has. So usually when I get called to a team, it's because of what I can do with those spirit boxes.
Oh,
I can listen
okay.
to them on any speed and any model. Like I use 5 different models. So if I'm going to a team, I usually bring my own. But
Yeah.
9 times out of 10, they want me to use theirs. I just bring my own headphones and all of that stuff. So.
Okay.
But I think I'm going to rein everybody in.
Okay.
Because he's filming people with the thermal, which is not good. Wow.
Yeah, you told him not to do
I
that.
did. I did. Uh-oh, Nika's got something. What do you got?
I got 72.0.
All right, that's time to rein it in, I think. All right, guys, let's head over to the back again. So just don't point it directly at them. Always keep that belly shot or nice and low on yours, Tracy. You guys got it. So can I start recording? Okay. Yeah, it doesn't always happen.
Yeah.
this is a very unique space, but that date of July will normally come up specifically. Like we will get the July something. So we'll see if that something actually pops up. That's why I was hoping that the number would have shown up between the two of you, which it hasn't been. But this is Philadelphia Alley now. It used to be called Jewelers Alley. So this is where some of the duels used to occur, which, by the way, you're not going to give me anything below a 7. The reason why is because we have lamp posts. They use electricity. They're going to give off a little bit of electromagnetic field. So above a 7. Got it? Okay. So, but we all tell the same story of the same duel that occurred because we can prove it. So if they start coming this way, just let me know so we can part the seas and I'm not standing in their way. But here's how the story goes. A doctor moved down here from Rhode Island. His name is Dr. Joseph Brown Ladd. If either of the two of you hear the song Brown Eyed Girl, it's not coincidence. It's part of his name. So anyway, getting back to Doctor. He moves down here because he's supposed to get married to his fiancée, Amanda. Amanda just inherited a bunch of money from her dead parents. She has all of this cash, and she's an attorney helping her out with all of the new money. The attorney thinks that Dr. Ladd is just after Amanda's cash. So he tells Amanda, get rid of the doctor. He comes down here to Charleston to prove that he's not. So on his way in, the coachman that brought him into town set him up to be robbed and killed. It wasn't a good start to take his stay in Charleston. So, you got something going on over there, Brett?
It's rather amusing, yeah. It's not cold though. It actually kind of looks like a face.
Is it in the the ivy leaves, like the bush leaves behind?
It's just. I don't think
I just heard detained Amanda.
Detained Amanda.
Wow.
Yeah, it's kind of lost. It's kind of like right where that bush is, I guess. I don't know if bushes are cold.
As we show up.
It's weird.
We do have the word Amanda. So I want you to remember that these spirit boxes that these two are using are slowed down. So if they were to ask the question, what
They're
color is the
coming.
spirit box? Oh, let's let them ask.
Go ahead, Mom. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, no
I thought
worries.
we said we were splitting the seas.
Yeah, we were.
Get that home.
All right. But if we were to ask, hey, what color is a big red barn, and you heard Rudolph the red-nosed reindeer, I don't need Rudolph the red-nosed reindeer. I just need the word red. So the fact that you heard detained Amanda, detainment has nothing to do with this story. Amanda does. So I'm excited that Amanda came through. Anyway, back to Dr. Ladd. Where was it? Oh, so he was coming into town, right? The coachman set him up. Somebody was walking by, seeing what was about to happen. His name was Ralph Isaacs. I stopped on Ralph for a second because he actually has the same initials as where the doctor came from. Ralph Isaacs, Rhode Island. The letters R.I. were showing up all the time on these red spirit boxes, so I have a digital Ouija board in my bag that we will sometimes use just to see if the letters will actually pop up. And we have had it at least half a dozen times in the past 4 or 5 months, as I'm telling this part of the history. Very interesting. It's like it's on cue. But anyway, Ralph tells the doctor, I know what's about to happen, dude. You don't want to stay here. This guy's going to try to kill you. Come with me. We're going to go to 59 Church Street. 59 is a prominent number normally, by the way. And you can stay with some friends of mine. They'll rent you a room and you'll be safe. The doctor took him up on the offer. They became friends. The longer the doctor stays here, the more money he's making. He's proving his point that he wasn't after Amanda's money. So Amanda gets wind of this. She's moving down soon so they can get married. Dr. Ladd became known as the Whistling Doctor. Here's what I'm going to tell you about whistling ghosts. Every haunted city has one. It's a cliche. That's just what we do. There is proof of this one. I'm going to get to it. I'm surprised that from that tour group, nobody whistled as they walked by because they just heard this story in a much different format. But anyway, Ralph and Dr. Ladd go see plays together. They can't sit next to each other because the doctor makes more money. That's just the way the hierarchy works. So, they argue about these plays on the way home. And one night they're arguing about Richard III from Shakespeare. And Dr. Ladd thought the new actress in town was fantastic, and Ralph didn't. The argument turns into Ralph insulting the doctor's fiancée, Amanda, back home in Rhode Island. It gets ugly and they go their separate ways. But Ralph goes to his friends at the newspaper and puts an ad in the paper telling the whole city of Charleston what he thinks of the doctor. Kind of a, you're a disgrace to society kind of mentality. The doctor saw the ad and rebutted with, let's go to Doyle's Alley. We're going to settle this and somebody's going to die. So they came down, they took their 10 paces, they turned, they pointed, Dr. Ladd pointed his gun in the air and he shot. He didn't want to kill his friend. He just wanted to have the courage and bravery to show he was willing to come to the fight. But Ralph, he has his one bullet and his flintlock. And he puts it in the kneecap on the doctor. Dr. Ladd doesn't die. Falls to the ground. His friends picked him up, took him home to 59 Church Street, where he dies 10 days later, November 2nd of 1786. Now, 10 days later, well, during that 10-day span, he actually refused medical treatment. You have to remember that this guy's a doctor, and in 1786, bullet wounds were a lot different than what they are now. He probably tried to bleed this out himself. So again, it's a very interesting tale because he didn't actually die here. His story's just kind of tied to the alley. So what we're not going to spread out because I can't take you all the way through. That's the fun part of the story because I've actually been kicked out of here. We're going to talk about that in a second. So what I'm hoping for is at the next location, we're going to get bleed over from here into there. So obviously these two are listening in intently. I can see it on their faces. So hopefully they're getting stuff while we're here, but they may get stuff at the next location as well. Let's talk about how I got kicked out of here. Well, first off, every tour that comes through here tells you to listen for the whistles. Do you hear how quiet it is right now? It is always this quiet, even on a busy Saturday afternoon. They say you can hear the whistles from the doctor. Well, guess what? You don't have to listen in real time because we have 3 cameras running plus my voice recorder. If it's going to be there, it's going to be on a recording somewhere. If you're going to try this on your own with your voice recorders from your phones and walk all the way through, just keep in mind that every local knows the story. Anybody walking up and down Cumberland Street or Queen Street throws a whistle down the alley. I do it every single night because I have to walk down past the alley to get to my car. So ever since I got thrown out of here, it's like I might as well mess with the other tours and throw a whistle. So here's how I got booted out. I used to take people all the way through here. The reason why is because this used to be called Cow Alley before it was Doors Alley, which means there was a wall up there about halfway between us and Cumberland Street because this is where they kept the livestock for the city. So, what did you do? No, it was not as that means the bricks on the other side are older than the bricks we're standing on. Those are sun-dried bricks from slave children. There's a full handprint at the end of the alley along with some fingerprint swipes. And I'd always point it out because we all need to see these bricks, right? So it just shows how far we've come away from slavery. It's all about the history for me. Everybody wants to try to get a reading or wait for something to happen around those bricks, and I treat them the same way I do a grave. I already told you I don't investigate a whole lot of cemeteries in the fashion that we're doing right now because nothing's going to happen. That's the last place you're going to find that kid. November 26th of 2020, my entire group of 10 is huddled around that brick waiting for something to happen. I'm trying to shoo them along because I know nothing's going to go on, and it's also outside the kitchen window of the beautiful mansion at the end of the alley. I'm just trying to be respectful to the neighbor, not knowing I was out of bounds of where we're allowed to take tours. So the new owner came out screaming. My daughter thought it was great because Dad's getting yelled at. And we moved on. The next day was Thanksgiving. I worked in retail management for a long time before I did this, and I don't do Thanksgiving. Many of those years were upper management for Walmart, so you all can feel my pain, you adults looking at me with some sympathy right now. So we moved on. The next day was November 28th. The dates do matter. I'm going to get to that. I told my team what was going to happen was because I had to reroute my group. I talked to my partner and he said, you're only allowed to go down halfway or you got to reroute the whole tour. So I decided I'm going to reroute everything and just avoid it. So I told my team, I don't believe in the next story because I've never had anything happen there with my gear. I'm a vampire guy, not a pirate person, so they all got excited about pirates, but then somebody heard the name Anne on a spirit box. I'm like, all right, I didn't tell you who we were going to be investigating yet. The famous female pirate Anne Bonny. I was like, okay. We get up there. I told them what little bit I did know about pirates at the time because it wasn't much then, and we kind of winged it. Somebody else heard the number 300. I don't know what that means. I write it down, research it the next morning. We were there on November 28th of 2020. Anne Bonny's trial for piracy, November 28th of 1720. Wow. The exact 300th anniversary of her pirate trial. It was kind of like her, hey Nick, I'm over here kind of mentality. So since then, I've read more damn books on pirates than I ever wanted to. And here's my problem with pirates, guys. And it's nothing that I have anything against them. Everything that we know about pirates is based off of pirate lore. I have a master's degree in creative writing. I need facts and data, and especially when I'm doing an investigation. Like, I need numbers, I need dates, I need this, I need that. Everything we know about pirates is a guesstimate. So I've put everything we're going to talk about at the next location, minimum of 2 resources, because I wanted to make sure everything we discuss at least has some type of context to it. Worst case scenario, because it is a hit or miss location, we may get bleed over from this location, but Anne Bonny is actually said to be seen all over town because there's certain buildings around town that she's attached to of things that she would actually recognize, which is why we're going to the one that we're going to. I'll explain that more when we get there. But it is a hit or miss location. It's either we get a lot or we get nothing. It's not like the Pinckney Mansion site where we're going to have 72 milligauss readings, just so you guys know. It's, again, we may get it, we may not. It just happens. The gate, before we leave. Remember that the alley didn't go all the way through this way? There was a wall there. in the event there was a loser to the duel, this was the shortcut to get over to the cemetery to drop the body off so they can go celebrate the winner. Otherwise, they'd have to carry the dead guy all the way down to the end. You see how long it is, and go back around. And you can see, like, that's part of the cemetery, that big building right there. They'd have to come all the way back around and carry all that dead weight. So I call this the death gate. The wrought iron itself wasn't there, but the archway definitely was. You can see that the brickwork is definitely original because it matches everything against the wall. But the wrought iron was probably put there in the early 1900s. So a lot of people ask me that. That's my guesstimate, just based on the ironwork of it itself. So this is weird shit that I learned from the tours, guys. By the way, the city of Charleston does not tell me what I have to tell you guys. It's just not how I roll. This is everything that I've learned along the way over the past 4 years of giving tours on a nightly basis. So, you guys ready to learn about pirates, or do you guys want to tell me about anything else you have going on with your devices? Anything going on with yours, Therese? Nothing? Have you heard anything?
I said run it like I do.
Run it like I do. Anything coming out of yours? Okay. Any numbers come out of yours? Okay. Good so far. So, those of you with video cameras, if you want to stop them to give your hands a break, by all means.
Hide on this.
Therese, you got anything?
I do.
What you got?
I hit the wrong button. Grave 50, Organized, Kansas, Heal, Grandmother, and him.
That was all pretty quick.
Yeah, it did. It was like a minute, some of them seconds apart.
Wow.
I mean, a total of from 10:12 to just now, 10:16.
So,
Like 5 words came through.
there's a couple of interesting things about this particular street corner. I brought us all the way back here to this ivy wall because the other tours like to cut through here. They all end at St. Philip's Church. There's like 15 stories around this corner. I usually stick to just the pirate thing, but we heard the name Peter from Kenny on his spirit box, and you gave me the word grave, which kind of gives me that verification. Charles Pinckney, Eliza's husband, is buried across the street. A lot of times he'll introduce himself in some way, shape, or form, whether it be his name, what his position was, so forth and so on, and then he'll tell us about his second wife, who's not buried here. His first wife is also buried across the street, but he likes to tell us about his second wife, the one we all discussed about, the Indigo. She is buried at St. Peter's Church. So he heard Peter, and I was like, I need something else, and then you have the word grave. So it's almost like Peter's grave. So again, that's in Philadelphia. That's a St. Peter's Church up there. So I'm actually pretty excited about that. I know Linz is me excited. I'm not a TV show host, can you guys know? But like that's where I start to piece things together. Would I want something a little bit more? The number 50 doesn't mean anything to me because obviously she was 70 in the year 1793. I don't know what that 50 means. Who heard the number 50?
It's just on here.
It's on there. That might be the number of her grave in the cemetery. I don't know, but I'm going to dive in and see if that actually matches to anything. I don't think it does, but again, I always look. If it's not part of anything, it's just part of your notes. It just won't have any links next to it. The number
How
30,
old was he when he died?
he was 58. No, he was... He was 45, so he was 59, because he died in 1758. They were only married for 14 years, which is weird. We'll often get the number 14 with other things wrapped around the life. But he was 59. 59. Sorry, keep like going back.
Late 50s.
I know. I'm an English guy, not a math nerd. I know I got the temperature thing down pretty quickly. So, where the heck are we now? We're at the Gunpowder Magazine. This, again, very eccentric story. Sorry, I kind of went off on a tangent, but I told you sometimes the evidence leads us in a different direction. We're here because of that little tiny building behind you. That's the Gunpowder Magazine. Static TV, only on one person using a spirit box, and their spirit box will stop working. I've seen it happen at least 3 times in the past 3 years. I know that doesn't sound like very often, but it's the same instance. What will happen is their device will literally shut down all the way. Like I turn the power off, and then you move out of the area, your static will go away, and his device will go right back to recording, and that takes 5 button pressers in order to be able to get that device to do that. I'm not going to say it's going to happen tonight. Again, it's been a while since that's happened, probably about 7 or 8 months, but it was definitely a weird occurrence on the second time it happened, months apart from the first one. So take that for what it's worth. This wall is not your friend, so just stay away from this wall. We have caught somebody sitting on top of that garbage can over there next to that little box, so kind of, if If you want to focus around there, that's fine
Okay.
too. As far as your camera, that orb was caught by that brick wall over there by the powder magazine. We're going to explore the space like what we did at that Pinckney Mansion site. Just keep in mind of other people walking by. We don't want to film them, especially if they're going to stop and talk about the gunpowder magazine. They'll be in and out of here pretty quickly. All right. Anything you may have heard before we spread out?
No, just said love you.
Love you. We get a lot of love terms. Anything coming out of yours? Nothing at all. All right. Let's spread out. Let's get to work.
Was yours real time when you saw the orb, or you saw it?
I thought it out.
Okay.
Because I was displaying how to use the laser rays.
Okay.
And that orb was right there.
Okay.
Catching a lot of leaves and short leaves. So much cooler than the asphalt. Just looking back, looking at your phone.
Well, it's actually in front of it.
I seen like you kind of were going like this as they were walking, and it was almost the same pace. And you'll hear it on Tracy's camera. It's filming people. I think it's the big
Am I filming people?
What was that? It's not the tree, is it?
Looks like it's picking up some of it. See, look in the distance. See the church? The scaffoldings?
Oh,
It's picking up pieces of the scaffolding.
Okay.
I work in the dark. I'm just so used to looking at darker screens.
Yeah.
And I hate to say, like, I take probably 4 or 5 screenshots where I have to lighten them up and figure out what's going on with it.
Yeah.
But 9 times out of 10, I don't have to.
Okay.
Because I work in the dark. Like, my eyes are adjusted to it. Even a dark picture, I'm like, I could zoom in real quick. I'm like, oh, that's the scaffolding.
Right.
You know, something in real time. So
Yeah.
I don't want you to think like I'm just trying to debunk
Been
everything.
doing this too for a while,
Yeah.
so you know.
Well, with this camera, no, I've only had it for 2 months.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like this is one of the new devices for I change up the equipment all the time. I'm constantly updating and that kind of thing. Like Brett's camera, we're getting ready to put it on an iPad, like, because we wanted to see how a large camera was going to work out here. We are always trying to be discreet because of the other tours around.
Yeah.
In the middle of July, like, I'm fighting for space.
I'm sure.
I just stay out of their way because I don't have a whole lot of friends in the industry. Like, I'm a standalone weirdo guy. I don't work for anybody else. But with his camera, when I renew these every 6 months, I always see, is there an upgrade I need to do? Did something not work as well as something else? But with his camera, we're definitely going to upgrade it and put it on an Apple product and see how that works out. That should speed up my uploading times too. I've noticed that is super fast to upload to YouTube for me. It's so much faster than the other 2 devices. The one that Marcela is using, I actually have to connect it to a computer, splice it together in the computer, and then send it off to YouTube. Like, there's a lot of processes that go into all of this AV tech.
Yeah, I'm sure.
So with that thing, like, since I got it, like I told the wife, she's like, because I hate Apple products. It took everything in me to pay money for that. And she was just like, how's the iPad doing for you with the SLS? And I was like, honestly, it's like done in 15 minutes, no matter how long the video is. And she's like, how long?
Cool.
She's like, doesn't the other camera take like 3 hours? I'm like, yeah. She's like, see? I'm like, don't do this to me. But we're going to turn that thermal into an iPad as well, just because that one probably takes it's a good amount of time. It's not quite as long as the one that Marcela's using, but that one takes quite a bit of time too, because it's an Android and it's an older model phone.
Yeah.
So it definitely takes a long time. How's our word list?
Alien? Grayson. I think we started left off.
I've seen that name on there in the past. I think that like 80% yes doesn't mean anything. But I've seen that on there in that spelling a lot. And whenever a name pops up and we're near a cemetery, I'll go through the cemetery records and see something about it, kind of thing. Graces.
Maybe it's because I am.
I'll wrap this one up. Penny, nothing still?
Damn.
Some of that stuff I can't make out though.
Yeah.
Saying.
All right, everybody, let's come up here, right in front of this guy. all the gear on, there's a couple of tips that you're going to need to remember. First, you need to know I'm watching your breathing. I want to make sure you're going to be okay. If we have to tap you out and pull you out of this whole thing, mom's going to tap your leg. If you're talking too loud, she's going to tap your shoulder. You have to remember, we can hear you. You need to whisper. We're going to be recording with all 3 cameras so you can watch it later. That way you can see it from all angles of what's actually going on around you. First thing you need to know is you're going to need to whisper. That's a big deal. Again, we have neighbors nearby, and we don't need all the other tourists like looking around like again what we're doing now. We're all going to close in really tight around you so nobody can see what's going on here. I will not be writing anything down. That way I can stay focused on what's going on. This is also an okay time to answer yes/no answers. So what you don't know what I'm asking. I might ask a yes/no question to the ghost and say it's okay to answer a yes/no question. I'm only going to keep you under for 10 minutes. So if you're getting a little too heavy breathing, mom's going to tap you out early. If she taps you out at 10 minutes, it's not going to feel like 10 minutes to you. Time's going to pass very, very fast. Also, when we get you tapped out, you're going to pull your own earmuffs off and start taking everything off, and you're going to stay seated. This can get very disorienting. I don't need a baby giraffe falling on the ground. So just stay seated for a few minutes until we wrap things up. Any other major questions that you may have?
What is heavy breathing? No, but like, what does it mean if I'm breathing heavily? Why do I have to pop out?
If that means you're getting a little too excited and things are, how do I put this?
Too stimulated?
Yeah, because I'm taking away senses from you. Like, you're not gonna be able to see anything, and you're only gonna be able to hear what's going on here. So you might get like a little excited and worked up, and that's when I pull you out. Because I don't need you going into a seizure or hyperventilating in any way, shape, or form. So we're going to.
Sorry. Tap if she's breathing too hard, and tap on the shoulder if she's breathing too hard.
You got it. All right. So blindfold first. Because I can hear that it's already running. So do not touch the spirit box once we get you on. I want to make sure you're not cheating and turning down the volume to hear what I'm saying. Showing up on your word list that I need to know about. Sometimes the answers go to your other spirit boxes. So Tracy, you might actually want to take his spirit box and listen in, since he's taking over your camera. Perfect. Can you hear me?
One works and one doesn't.
Yeah, nothing so far. Okay, so it's 11:03. You're looking to speak to Henry Timrod. If you are here, I want you to tell us what your occupation is, please. You almost want to have Stan keep the camera on her specifically. I want her to have that footage. Whatever you need. She wants to. Let's see. Well, she's going to have that recording. Henry Timrod, can you please tell us what your occupation was? What is your occupation? Nice and tight.
Ted.
Right.
Every time that I kick,
Henry,
runner's day.
I want you to tell us what your occupation is. We're going to keep things nice and simple to begin with, unless you want us to move forward.
Revamp this image.
Henry, do you want us to move forward? That's a yes/no question. You ready to answer different types of questions?
Go down. No.
Okay, let's stick with your occupation then. You gave us the word red. Can you tell us what that's referring to? That's kind of part of the story I just told about you. About your blood book.
Red.
Okay, I'll take that slight. Why was the page red? Can you tell us why the page was red?
I.
Try again. Why was the book red? Henry,
Rising from the sun.
let's try again.
One more time.
Why was the book page red? Were you sick? That's a yes no question.
Big front. I've been losing sleep.
Were you sick?
I don't know.
You were. Can you tell us what disease you had? What caused your death?
Cry to sleep.
Henry, tell us what disease you had.
No, you can't hear.
Okay, we'll move on. That's okay. Let's go into your wife. That's a happy thought for you. Can you tell us your wife's name or how you met her? He was her school teacher, just so you guys know. Another creepy age gap kind of mentality.
What the?
Henry, tell me about your wife. Tell me about your wife.
Oh,
Henry, take that. How did you meet your wife? Tracy, you got anything?
blinded.
Well, we do blindfold people, which is funny. We do get the word blind during this a lot. Like it shows up somewhere.
The great city.
What great city? What great city did you write about? Come on, Henry, you seem to have slowed down. We're doing okay there for a minute. Is somebody else
Speak to.
Somebody else here with you? Is there another spirit here with you? It's a yes no question.
A year.
Henry, I think we're getting off topic.
Shouting louder.
5 minutes. She's been on there just to guys know. She definitely can't hear us, by the way. I can definitely see that she's not.
I can't.
Can't what? Henry. We're getting slim on time again. Shall we start talking about your son?
I suppose.
Okay. Tell us what your son's name was or what day he was born. What day was your son born? The number will be okay.
90s.
When was your son born? What day of the month? Take the number or the holiday.
My heart.
Anyway, we're asking
Players too.
we're asking a lot of questions. You can answer anything I've asked so far. About your wife, your son, how you died, your occupation, anything you can grab. This is Isabella. She can hear you. You know she's blinded. You know how this situation works. We've done this plenty of times now.
Just please. Stand on.
Henry, let's be more specific. Answer any of the questions I may have already asked.
5 employees in the post office. Clean, beautiful home.
Whenever I ask if there's other spirits here, we normally get the number 5.
Tell him, Mom.
Who else is here with Henry Timrock? Because I only want to speak with him.
Young divers.
Who else is here?
Please. Someone.
It's too big. Let's get back to Henry Timrock.
I go.
I need you to come through a little bit stronger because we're running out of time and you haven't given us many answers. Henry, what answers do you want us to know before we tap her out?
Insurance. Any longer.
Do you need us to stop? That's a yes no question. Do you want us to stop? Still no answer. Henry, I think we're going to be done here. One last word. What do you want us to know? You want to say goodbye to us?
Speak to me.
Henry, I talk to you every night.
I'm listening to you.
But you need to answer us.
Turn around.
We need to have a conversation.
That end of the floor.
All right, Mom, go ahead and let's tap her out. Henry, I will see you tomorrow night, sir.
Embarrassing.
Okay, first, how do you feel?
I felt something like touching my leg.
Yeah, we kind of saw that.
That was a little.
You guys can stop your cameras
I
that
felt
have
like
that.
something like falling right
Yeah, there was